The Rhinebeck School District has a $41 million budget up for public vote on Tuesday, May 15th. Maura Carlin sat down with Rhinebeck School Superintendent Dr. Barbara Ferraro and Assistant Superintendent for Business and Finance Dr. Kimberly Bucci for more.
It's school budget season, and we're talking about the Rhinebeck proposed school budget. I'm joined by Dr. Barbara Ferraro, who's the Rhinebeck School Superintendent, and Dr. Kimberly Bucci, who is the Assistant Superintendent for Business and Finance. Thank you for joining us. May 15th is the day to vote on this budget. It's a $41 million budget, thereabouts. Why should the community support it this year?
Thank you for asking. We're very proud of the budget that we're presenting to our community this year. The budget is tax cap compliant for the 7th consecutive year, so we're happy to offer that to our community, and it preserves our programs here in the district. Things like favorable class size, the STEAM initiatives that we have in place, the arts and music and extracurricular programs that are important to students at Rhinebeck, and we're happy to be able to focus on that. In addition, we've looked at our safety and security measures, which are really important to our parents right now, and as we continue to enhance those programs, built into this budget are some other advancements, in particular to have some full-time monitors at each of our elementary schools, which right now, that's a change for us. Right now we have part-time. So we're expanding that to our elementary schools.
So you're going from a part-time security to a full-time security at each school?
Correct.
Are there other changes we should know about?
In the whole budget?
In the whole budget, yes.
In the whole budget. Adding some teaching assistants. You'll see that in our staffing.
And that's for special education?
Primarily, yes, primarily. That's what that's for. And as our enrollment has remained rather stable, but we're seeing the increase now at our middle high school campus. For those of you who are not familiar with Rhinebeck, we have our 6th grade through our 12th grade on one campus. We operate as 2 separate schools in one building. The bump in enrollment right now is coming to that campus, so some of the changes that are going to be seen are increased staff, moving of staff around from elementary schools to the middle school to accommodate the students there.
And that's where you're going to be doing the additions?
Absolutely.
It was approved in February.
Absolutely. So our capital project, and we're excited about that. And as we talk about our STEAM initiatives, this wing will support those initiatives.
And this budget includes some of the debt financing for it, payments on that, they begin?
Yes, it does. So with the community support in February of the $27.6 million bond, we'll be looking to do some of the borrowing to fund some of the building that's going to be taking place over the next year, and this budget includes the debt service for that. So that's the principal and interest that's due. So in this budget, we're phasing in $300,000 in the form of debt service.
Now I noticed that the increase in this budget over last year's budget was roughly $1.2 million.
Correct.
And the increase in tax revenue is roughly $1.1 million. I mean, very close. Is that just a coincidence, or?
It's just a coincidence, and what it's saying is that we're increasing the spending $1.2 million. 1.1 of that can come from from the tax levy. So our maximum allowable tax levy cap this year is 3.11. So just to put that in perspective, the last 3 years we've been way under the what's known as the 2% tax cap, with a 0.33 and a 0.72 the last 3 years. This year, as a direct result of what you just brought up, the debt service, that goes into our formula, and so the state allows us to go up to 3.11 this year when we calculate the formula.
I know this may be an aside, but there was something I found very interesting in your presentation, which is that we've talked about hiring some new people and increasing some programming, but your funding for salaries has gone down, and I'm just curious how that worked.
So the slide that you're talking about, it's where we sort of recap, budget to budget changes, and some of the major areas. And you highlighted that our overall salaries are decreasing by $100,000. It's very unusual. We benefited from some attrition, some retirements. We also had some labor settlements that are really, all of the labor units are pretty much under 1%. And in some instances, we've frozen steps. So what we're seeing is a combination of factors: attrition, some open positions, savings on hirings through retirements, and also labor contracts that are really sensitive to the financial climate.
So what are the biggest chunks of the budget going towards, and are they basically fixed?
They are. 75% of the budget is salaries and benefits, And the main increases this year that we're seeing are the aforementioned, debt service. That's about $300,000 of that $1.2 million increase. We had a $400,000 in salaries, the pension benefits that we pay to the teachers' retirement system. So that contribution rate went up slightly. And the other change that we're seeing this year has to do with an increase in special ed costs. We're getting students that are coming in and they're requiring outside placements, or they're requiring additional services. And so it's really those main areas that we're seeing the increases this year.
So are there new students moving in that are requiring outside placements, or are you finding that maybe that you're sending them out, that the service that you need to provide the services in a different environment?
It can be both. So it's hard to predict that, as you know, who's going to move in over the summer. So we're planning for that, and really based upon past history, we've kind of looked at the last 2 years, tried to anticipate what we might need moving forward this school year.
So what I'm asking is there an expansion in the special education services that are being offered in Rhinebeck?
Not particularly. We still
But
offer
more students.
more students. Exactly. We have special classes for students, we have resource rooms, we have related services. All of those are available to students at Rhinebeck. As you get more students, you expand upon that. And sometimes, if their students are a little more involved, perhaps they have to leave Rhinebeck and attend a program out of district. And just looking at that, we've had some move-ins over the last couple of years that require an out-of-district placement. So we built within that budget, we're planning for that.
Are there specific programming changes that you'd like to highlight for us?
Well, I don't know if they're particularly changes, but we started an initiative this past school year that's expanding, and we have a new approach to teaching reading and writing in our elementary schools. It's not a new term, but it's a new approach for us. It's called the Balanced Literacy Program, and we did the Readers Workshop this year. We're moving to the Writers Workshop as we move through next year. It's an initiative K through 5. The teachers have been excited about it. The students are certainly excited about it. And just yesterday, when I was visiting our schools, our Daniel Warren schools, the K1-2 school, and our Effie Bellows is our 3-4-5 school. So I was able to see the excitement that the children have about reading and wanting to share. So some nice things, a lot of enthusiasm over the program. So we're happy with this approach, and that will be expanded next year. So that was a new initiative for us. And we always, I highlighted at the beginning STEAM and STEM programs. One of the reasons.
What kinds of programs do you have?
Certainly.
The robotics.
Yes,
we
exactly.
We can't even offer enough sections. The interest is so high.
The robotics and engineering, exactly, and we had to keep pushing it down. And one of the reasons we went out to our community is that we see how it's growing. Last year we had to hire additional staff in order to accommodate that. We're able to accommodate this year what we need, and our problem is space. So that was part of our capital project and moving in that direction, and how the community, we had a facilities committee work with us, and they looked at priorities and saw that the priority was at the middle high school campus now for STEAM initiatives, things like robotics and digital arts, all blended together, engineering classes, and then the regular pure science classes that we're all familiar with, but taking it from beginning levels to very advanced levels and college level courses and experiences for students. So those are some of the new initiatives in our next year in our Daniel Warren School. And that, I smile when I say that. It's our K-1 school, and it's just really a happy place to be. So whenever I visit that, I come away with a big smile. But the teacher was able to carve out some space, and she's called, pardon me, the principal, and she's calling it the Wonder Studio. So it's really for creativity and inquiry, and it's a joy to see that being built. So you'll see some of that happening.
Last question, believe it or not.
Sure.
What do you see as the most important thing, and it's a little less budgety, but most important thing that you can provide students as you prepare them for life in the 21st century?
Well, what we always like to say is that we give our students a well-rounded experience. And what that means, I've talked about it at board meetings, and it's tied to the budget in a way, because we look at, I kind of say it's mind and body and spirit. So if I kind of pull that apart, make sure that we have health and wellness programs for our children, and do we have a full-blown physical education, health, athletics, sports program for our kids? Mind, do we offer a range of courses for all kids in all areas? Every child has talent. Do we have the kinds of programs that tap those individual talents? And spirit, we look at social emotional learning and the kinds of inner core resources we have to give our kids so that they can move forward. So in a simple way, I kind of say mind, body, spirit, but what it means is looking at the whole child. And one thing I'm really proud of in Rhinebeck is we talk about it as personalizing the environment for the children. So again, different kids, different programs, nothing cookie cutter. It can change, and it's very individualized to meet the needs of kids.
Great. And we'll remind everyone that the budget
Please.
vote is May 15th. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Barbara Ferraro, Dr.
Thank you.
Kimberly Bucci. I'm having trouble with Kimberly. Sorry. Thank you for joining